Okay, and good morning or good evening or good everything to you. Welcome to lesson 68, radio, should I say, 223 part-timers. We are at the second lesson, 203 of collaborating with other media. In a previous lesson, we spoke about paid media. We're going to continue with that and we'll round it up in the next lesson. It's a short lesson. We'll also have a bit of an exercise that we're going to go through, or an example, should I say, at the end of the lesson. And then there's an example, or should I say now, an exercise that you're going to have to do at the end of the lesson. This comes from the Next Level Radio textbook, Cullinan and Nash, which is on chapter 6 to 6.5, 6.5.1, earned media, page 231 to 232. So, like I said, last lesson we spoke about paid media being, or should I say owned, I think it was owned or paid media. We're going to cover them all anyway. Our owned media is, again, I think we did start with owned media, that's right. So owned media is media that we create as an organization, as a station, that we create on our websites, our blogs, our social media. And we have we have the privilege also, if we are of a big brand or a brand that is growing as well, that is often shared. So we say it's free shared media and publicity, should I say, exposure from our listeners and our followers. And so, we can explore different avenues of getting kind of that, expanding that publicity and that reach for our station and our brand. And we also discussed a couple of important aspects of being able to create that media and what type of media we should be creating. Again, on an ongoing basis, according to a digital calendar. All right, let's get into this short lesson. Digital integration with radio stations, like any business, have a number of digital and social media tools and platforms that are available to them, right? So we do know and we are familiar as 2023 errors, right? We are all familiar with how to use social media, how to use digital media in the digital space to be able to, again, just share our message, share our voice, and share our content that we do create. It's nice. I actually learned. I read a say it's nice. It is refreshing to see that finally what I firmly believed, the impact or the influence or the importance of influencers has now started to shift as it should. And we did speak about brand ambassadors and the difference between them, but there was an article, and I think it was Business Tech, that actually discussed and covered how South Africa, especially as well, I mean, obviously the focus is where we live, right? Will now drop the importance of influencers, because a second odd person is an influencer, claimed, self-proclaimed as well, and will now become content strategists. That's where the focus and, let's say all the I'd say, like the impressions that we can delve into and actually buy into, will come from content strategists like ourselves being media practitioners. And so the age of the influencer is coming to an end, right? Or the term influencer, right? Influencers have always been a thing. It's not a new terminology. We've had, I think I've said this before in a previous lecture, but the Queen of England was one of the first influencers in the world, right? Because what she says and what she does and what she has done for so many years, obviously prior to her death, was impacting the entire world, right? What's again, her actions and her speech had influential impacts to people around the world, right? And we have had many influences, quote unquote, throughout the course of history. And that's what I'm saying to you, like those are, like, in terms of like what's a real influencer, a person that has real impact, has a real impression, and again a real effect on people, or people that actually want to change the world and do so through their actions. And if we had to place the Queen still, I'm sure she would not be on social media, I would say. People would be covering her stuff, but she'd be, again, one of those source content creators, giving us exactly what you would normally have done over the past, and it was nearly 100 years, right? Anyway, so this is a great time to start really focusing on the aspect that you are a content creator and that you are a content strategist is what you should be aiming for, because that is where it's leaning towards. And now it becomes kind of official in terms of the business that you can get and the business that you can accrue, as well as the money that you can make from that business, right? Radio stations use social media platforms to communicate with audiences, to build the loyalty that we want in communication, right? So that is our that's our aim, is to communicate just to a listener through being the voice of the people, with our presenters. And again, our brand will also be a bit of an activist, to what social commentary is. And so again, we have an extension of that added value, brand value, that we do endorse when we go and we share on social media and digital spaces, right? Okay, we create and we share that content that we want to, again, make a bit of impression, make a bit of a change. Also, entertain, have some fun, People are dancing, people are having a good laugh, people are sharing their dating experiences, saying broadcasters, whatever it is. I want to get interpersonal with you. The image on the next slide, which comes from your textbook, as you can see on the preview on the far left, right, is type of digital media that radio stations use from owned, earned, and paid perspectives, right? So if we look at the table, let's have a look at the differences between the three types so we can get some clarity on that. So owned digital media is websites, microsites, and blog sites, as we have discussed. We could also be using mobile sites and applications, so subscriptions to applications, our own radio or our station apps, right? Social media pages and platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, and so on. So with earned digital media, and that is when we're starting to get those shares, right? So we're earning a bigger reach through, if you look at the last one, post shares, recommendations, mentions, reposts, reviews of our product or our service or whatever it may be. Look at the top section there, comment sections of owned digital media spaces are considered earned digital media. If someone has to appraise us and say great things about our station, great things about our content, or just interact, obviously in terms of like an algorithm in social media, you'll be flighting higher in people's feeds just because of the interactivity. The impressions, yes, is one thing, but the engagement is more important. Station and client brand mentions in any types of digital media. So we have partnerships with clients that we do, and they will obviously on their own social media pages and digital space be promoting the collaboration that they do with us, right? Then we have the last one, which is paid digital media for us to go and let's say go and pay. We're going to want to, let's say, advertise something. We're going to create a banner or post or whatever it is, and then we'll go and pay for that on a social media platform, the cost per click campaign. So that's the whole process of, really putting your digital savvy to test and understanding that you've got to pick obviously a certain demographic. You've got to pick people that have liked certain, I don't know, certain types of pages or are interested in certain types of things. Definitely looking at what they earn, again, what type of post they've kind of liked. And what you do with cost per click campaigns is that you constantly go and reprice them, that you go revise them as well as the campaign is active, right? So that you can see where, like, you'll go look at the analytics. If you used it before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But the analytical space that is available, especially in the meta. The meta is quite effective. So the meta for Facebook and Instagram, very effective. And it's been in production, or so to say, development for such a long time. I find it very. That's where I self taught myself how paid digital media works. And then also you can't do that try and test thing where I could see that certain posts they're just not something that belongs on, let's say, like campaign media, right? Where you are, let's say, maybe promoting a podcast. It doesn't really actually work well for paid digital media, but rather a service works much better. So let's say a product or a service really works well. If you are promoting a competition, that works really well. And again, you must push for a call to action. So, for example, like sign up for our, like our as a subscriber to our email list, or join our well, whatever it is, like our WhatsApp group, or it doesn't really matter, right? Or let's say order something, place your order, or make a sale, or whatever it is, right? But the thing is that we want to be able to accrue data. So we want to be able to get all the information so that we can actually do data analysis and use that within our future, whatever it is, endeavors. I say endeavors because it's all encompassing of promotion, sponsors, whatever it is, or whatever it may be, right? Okay, sponsorships, etc. Okay, so sponsored and promoted posts and retargeting strategies. Again, as I said, you go there and you tweak those type of posts. And again, after its lifetime is over, so let's say you had it for 2 weeks or a week or whatever it may be, you will go back and you'll have a history of all the paid digital media campaigns that you have run on that particular platform, right? And then you can go and again go and further analyze that with your departments and your digital departments moving forward, right? Okay, influencer posts where influencers are clearly in brand partnerships, so we pay them a lot of money. Again, a brand ambassador is a much more effective and trustworthy than an influencer. Brand ambassador is something that we are going to talk about in future lessons, right? Like they have to sign contracts, and they've got to be able to. We've got to obviously review them in terms of like other, let's say other brands and other services and products that they have endorsed before, whether there is any conflict of interest, whether they have actually done a good job of actually making people buy a product or subscribe, or again, whatever that call to action is. But we do pay them, and we do pay them actually quite a lot of money. Most of those brand ambassadors as well come from within the station. So because the listeners know that particular jock or that on air presenter, right? They will further entrust them with whatever they are promoting in terms of a product. So let's say it is on a show, whatever it may be, and the sponsor will pay separately to have influencer costs, right? So the influencer will then again have a bit of a digital calendar that's assigned to them that they will have to then post, let's say, 3 certain posts on Instagram, 2 on TikTok, whatever, 3 on Facebook, 1 YouTube video, whatever it may be, right? There'll be a digital, like kind of like declaration, and then you've got to sign, and you have to push and push and push. Obviously, those things are the media is created with your alongside your digital department so that we can make sure that it is consistent, it's good quality, it's something that's rich, and it's obviously progressive in terms of being able to push to that call to action, whatever it may be, right? But it is like as a DJ, you've got to pitch up and you've got to do a good job, right? Okay, so if you look at some in terms of earned digital media, let's look at some aspects there. Digital media is the online equivalent of word of mouth, right? So we really want those shares. It really is like when someone also, I mean, I was just tagged in an Instagram post as a collaborator, right? It was actually a friend, like he asked for a favor, got him a ticket to Comic Con or whatever it is, and he came from overseas, and he's quite big, I say, in terms of the digital space. And he added me as a collaborator for one of his posts, he's kind of like review posts. And I suddenly got this influx of followers, you know. One of those things of they trust, and I don't know these people. I don't want to claim myself to be like a nerd fanatic or a nerd influencer. I'm not that. But the thing is that nerd geek, it's not offensive. It's something that we're proud of, right? Anyway, so the thing is that the amount of people that trust him, right, that word of mouth, just that through that, just that collaborative addition, and I was the only one because obviously, again, I got him the ticket, even though he tagged a number of different, also in the post, tagged about 20, 25 people, different accounts as well that will constantly obviously help him with creating his content and whatever it may be, right? I'm guessing they also got a number of new followers as well. But that is kind of that whole trust of word of mouth. They trust him. His posts are and his content is it's consistent, it's quite rich, and it's quite great, and it's interesting, right? And it shows obviously a good dedication to his geekdom, priorities or whatever it is, right? But that was literally it. I don't think no, I think I gained about I don't know, it was something like something stupid. I say like 50, 60. 65, I don't know, followers within, I think it was like an hour, 2 hours. For me, that's big. I don't have tens of thousands of people. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, my point is word of mouth actually really works. Okay. From the client's perspective, social media provides a transparent space to run promotions and invite input from listeners. Okay, because they trust the brand. Once again, they will then share also. For example, you can also push them to share. So, share this post, like the post, repost the post, or whatever it is, like post it in your story, whatever it is. And then you can also win or stand a chance to win X amount of prizes or whatever it may be, or have an experience, doesn't matter. Social media use is growing rapidly. So these are old stats, but still relevant. We always rely on older stats because they're validated and certified. So we can actually depend on them instead of, let's say, like a 2022, 2021 stat, which is still it's obviously still in evaluation. It might be released, but they can still be obviously um, reevaluated, right? Anyway, with 5 million new users between 2018 and 2019, according to Business Tech, and that's big. I know we think of billions, and then we think of how many millions, how little millions are. But again, active, to become active new users, in a year in South Africa alone, right? We look at our 58 million, or we're not there yet. I don't think we're over that. We're about 61 million here in the country. It's a lot of users and people for a country that is quote unquote like third world, and you can see me doing buddy quotes. Third world is based on our education system and our infrastructure, our technology infrastructure. Anyway, the average South African has 8 social media accounts, and I know you're saying, "Ooh, that's me too," and spends almost 3 hours per day looking at their feeds and scrolling through their content. If you don't believe that, you should actually download little timers. So it's like it's a timer app that tells you how much minutes you spent on different apps in total. And you will see that your average, especially as a media practitioner or growing media practitioner, your use of social media is between about 2 and 3 hours per day. All those little 5 minutes that you step aside and scroll through bluntly and blindly, kind of robotically, adds up over 24 hours. Anyway, this means that social media is becoming increasingly important, yes, to reaching consumers, and social media allows businesses and brands to observe and monitor consumer behavior quite directly and actively, like I said, as opposed to having some kind of delayed effect, right? We can see immediately looking at our analytics, as I've mentioned before, see exactly how things are growing, see where there's a dip or like a low in terms of like interactions and stuff like that, why the clicks are not really working anymore. Do we have to re-promote something, repost something, and repurpose it in some kind of way? Anyway, but we adopt our marketing strategies and approach to these trends. So by now, you must understand that own media is our own earned media, is that kind of like free publicity that we get, that we also want to make sure that in many ways, in many ways, with most of our online content could become shareable as well, right? Okay. All right, so let's look at example 60. Let me just, 233. You can also just, there we go. So 60, paid media. And you can see that it is a similar example. It's just not exactly the same example that we have. Anyway, we've covered before. Let's just quickly go through it one more time, right? So the following figures demonstrate how paid media in popular newsletters work, right? So in the next page, you'll see on 234 that we want to actually this time focus on only the earned media only, right? Okay. So once again, just to recap, there's a agency called Thumbprint Marketing, and it has paid for advertising in oakleaf.com newsletter, in the oakleaf.com newsletter. The newsletter will then appear to subscribers' inboxes, perhaps maybe so weekly or monthly, doesn't really matter. Well, that it doesn't matter as long as you don't do it kind of like erratically. 3 days here, 2 days here, went and flood them in terms of like a spam, like a spam nature. But 6.6, so figure 6.5, 6.6 provides information about how to advertise further with Oakley.com. And if you look at that, at the actual picture there, right, and you'll see that the activity that you're going to do this time around, which has to do with the B part, the earned media, right? Okay, and obviously providing the definition of earned media, match the columns of earned media to whichever of the columns that fit, the one being a listener tweeting that they love the song playing right now on KFM, a sponsored Instagram post promoting a clothing competition, or a radio station uploading a video. I think that's quite easy, right? And three is consider the following fictional scenario with DJ Dizzy, once again, is a presenter on the radio station and a well-known television personality, DJ and music producer. He's also very active on Twitter. Explain what circumstances DJ Dizzy's tweets could be regarded as paid or earned and owned media. You will, in this particular, exercise, right? Okay. You will then look at the impact of earned media. So picture this DJ posting certain types of posts and then people commenting, people sharing to obviously extend that kind of reach, right? Okay. Um, and so that is the theory for this lesson, right? And if you want to go and have a look at some of the, I'm just going to quickly click on this link here so I can show you. Just let Microsoft open that up there in Chrome. And I'm going to switch the screen now in a second, right? So we can just quickly see points of this. See that screen and right here. Okay. Right, so what is earned, owned, and paid media? The differences that are explained, right? So just once again, just so you can have a look at the actual article itself and the key roles, etc. What I just want to just have a quick look at is knowing the differences between here on these things, these different types of media, right, in the digital space. And where they cross over. So if we look at let's look at what we've learned already. So owned media, once again, what we've said before, it gains, excuse me, let me go here. So website, mobile site, blog site, social media channels. We look at earned media, which are mentioned, shares, reposts, and reviews, like we've said in the lesson. But here, where we have the obviously the crossover, the SEO, so the search engine optimization and brand content drive earned media and sharing and traffic. Right. Okay. So so SEO, again, search engine optimization, when you're typing something in to your search engine. So like, for example, Google, or if you are an Edge user or whatever it is, right, a Bing user, okay, that is your search engine, right? And when we are creating content, we do want to make sure that, again, tags, again, kind of that meta, there's meta descriptions are when we do create the content for our owned media are in the correct, so we meta tag them correctly and meta describe, etc. There are a number of other attributes that we would have to fill out there as well to make sure that the SEO optimization is at a good standard. So, for example, if you are a WordPress user, you'll be very familiar with this type of terminology and again, this type of space here. Okay, here we have the paid media, so pay-per-click, display ads, so retargeting, paid influencers, etc. So here we have now a little bit of a three-way. So that sounds a bit gross, but yeah, so a bypass of the three elements here. So propel sharing and engagement with paid promotions, right? So we can have that as well. Kind of that we own that media, right? But we've paid it, but we also could have that paid media that we created shared, right? And then also on this far side, on this side here, with paid and owned media, right? Pay-per-clicks, search engine optimization, gain more exposure by putting in a little bit of money, putting in from the digital budget, right? And leverage earned and paid media for comprehensive marketing strategies. Okay. All right. I hope you learned something. I'm going to stop that there and we'll go to the next